outstanding in the Hilda's prayers long, long ago.
When Hilda enter into you now. The joy and the expectation. The humility and the desire to know. Now let's just breathe in peace. great peace. Would flow into our minds, hearts, our words and actions. And now as the equinox draws and dawns on us, the nights become longer and the days become shorter. Let us breathe in light into ourselves. That light become brighter and brighter. And let it emanate all around us. And let us bring light to this earth, this moment, right here, right now. Let's feel that light surrounding us, filling this room, asking it to fill our thoughts, acknowledging it. And the light of Hilda, the light of the divine, the light of the heart of Jesus, the light of our souls. Let's feel that balance within us. On an equinox, time and day and night become balanced. And let's open our eyes and look at each other and see the light everywhere. Excuse me. It was, many of us are, before the class even begins tonight, or I go into any discussion with anybody, is there anybody here who really feels they'd like to come up and say anything important or share anything? I've asked a few people to speak tonight of any miracle or wonder that's happened to them since the last meeting. Well, I guess you're the miracle and the wonder then. I know that recently many of us are aware that our beloved Eric Berglund has passed on. And how many of you knew Eric here? Okay, so there's quite a few of you. Well, Eric played the Irish harp. So if you think of somebody passing on, and you think of Eric, and you think of this harp that he played, do you know that he's in a place of angels and bliss and life? Do you know this all? What?
He's doing a concert.
He is doing a concert tonight. And Eric was a very beautiful, gentle light on this earth. I know Kurt was very, very close to Eric. And they were like soul brothers. And I thought maybe Kurt would just want to just come up and say a little something. What's interesting is many years ago, I guess it must have been about 30-something years ago, I was doing a workshop, and I mentioned it to Eric. And this is before Eric made any tapes or did anything. And he said, I said, would you like to come? And he said, sure, I'd love to. Can I please bring my harp and play? So it's just wonderful to run a seminar and have somebody playing the harp and you don't have to do anything. And then after the workshop, I said, how are you doing, Eric? And he goes, this is great, I could do this. And he did that and 10 times more. So, Kurt, just say a little something.
Yeah, I was lucky, very blessed to be very close to Eric for 40 years. And I met him early on when I first came to Hilda back in 1973. He had already been there. And there's so much I have to say about, I'm going to try to keep it short. The other day we had a memorial, or actually it was an Ascension celebration at Faye Levy's house, where he first met Hilda, I think it was back in 1968, I believe, somewhere around the very, very early days. He was blessed as soon as he came to Manhattan to find her and also find the Church of the Ascended Masters, called the New Age Church of the Christ. And I want to tell you something about that, because in his first week of coming as a young boy, maybe, just out of college, to Manhattan, his first class, he was told that if you say, I am the resurrection and the life of my perfect body, you could heal anything. Well, Eric was wearing glasses that were so thick you couldn't even see his eyes at that point. But he went home, and for the next week until the next class, he said this constantly. And when he showed up the next week, those glasses were gone. And he never wore glasses again. And this shows you who Eric was. His persistence was tremendous. He always knew that he could accomplish things. He always knew he took the word of Hilda for truth. And he put that truth into action. Last night, I was hearing all night him singing to me. He was saying, he was singing, look to the rainbow. Look to the rainbow, follow it over the hill and the stream. Look to the rainbow and follow the fellow who follows his dream. And he followed his dream. And he was just one of us. We sat with Hilda for how many years, till she passed, like 20 years, I believe. And then he went on to do the work of the masters. And everything he did was an example of her teaching in action. And he took her teaching all over the world to thousands of people. So much so that they just had an online memorial so that all the people in the world that knew him and loved him could hear about him and remember him, and now celebrate who he is now. And I want to tell you about where he is now, because this is the most extraordinary thing. Being so close to him and loving him so much and feeling like he's my brother in so many very deep ways, I would have thought I would be devastated by his passing, but in actuality, what happened was extraordinary. He went into a coma the night before he passed, and I felt him in that coma. And I was with him all night. And then, when he left the body, it was a tremendous experience. I can't tell you what a joy I experienced. The freedom of the soul that expanded instantly into universal consciousness that was at once joined with all his beloved ones, Hilda, Sai Baba, all of the masters, the angels, and on and on and on. I couldn't sleep for the next 24 hours because I was too happy. It was one of the most extraordinary nights of my life, and I would not have imagined that I could have this. I felt like the part of me that it's him ascended with him. And I feel now that he's more available because he's become this ascended being. And in many ways, he's come and done healings. He's helped me do some very, very deep healing. And he's helped other people. He's shown up talking to people he's only met once. It's extraordinary to see this as one of us, who he became with Hilda's grace. He loved Hilda, I think, more than anybody. More than anybody he knew, he loved Hilda, and always, every class started off like this. You take your hand from the top and bring it down 3 times to align all the vehicles of the body, mind, and spirit, totally aligned. I would ask you all to look at his website, which is ericberglund.com. It's a tremendous resource, and there are so many wonderful things on it. There's also links to his memorial service that was recorded. There's a tribute to him by Aeolia, who was like one of the first New Age artists, who was his mentor and helped him get his business going with putting out New Age music. That it's really beautiful. And this sort of exemplifies what Eric was about. When I first met him and went to his house, he had this little apartment on the Upper West Side that was barely big enough for his baby white grand piano that he always traveled with. But the other thing he always traveled with was the globe, because he was always praying for the world, and he was always focusing on it. And it was one of those globes, from grammar school that spun around, those type. And he took that globe everywhere, used it everywhere, and owned over it. He always wanted to be a healer. He always wanted to be a harpist, and these things he developed because of his persistence. He had this vision of who he wanted to be, and he put it into action. It was extraordinary to watch this. And his healing moment is another extraordinary moment, the moment where he became a healer, or a recognized healer, I should say. He was in Venezuela giving a concert. A man at the end of the concert came up to him. This man was on crutches. And the man said to him, "I feel such beautiful healing energy for you. I know that you are the one to heal me." And Eric said, "I'm just a musician, I'm not a healer." And the man persisted and persisted and persisted. And finally Eric said, "Well, we can do what my teacher Hilda said. We can own." So he owned, and the man threw his crutches away. The next day, people lined up in his hotel room, and he was like, "Wait a minute, no, you understand, I'm just here to perform, I'm not a healer, I can't do this." And they were like, no, but you don't understand, we brought this baby. And he couldn't turn the baby away. So he said, "Okay, we'll just own. We'll own for the baby." And of course, the baby was healed and other people were healed, and that developed into this tremendous healing ministry that he had around the world. So much so that his healing course is actually accredited for nurses and acupuncturists to take, which is extraordinary for the type of New Age healing that it was. My heart is so full, and because of the grace that I have been given, and I hope that you can feel his presence. The song that was the tribute to him that his mentor Aeoli did was a song that he wrote, which is his favorite song, "Lord, Come and Heal the World." And this was a great gift. At that time, it was in the 70s. And there were so many predictions that the world was just going to blow up and there would just be this empty hole in space. And Eric couldn't stand it at all. And so he sat down at the piano, and this energy came through him because of his love for the earth. And it was such a beautiful song. It was, "Lord, come and heal the world, make her clean again. Lord, help us all to be your light shining through the night. Lord, come and heal the world. Make her new again. Forgiving everything that's wrong, sing a New Age song. For when the morning sun begins her New Age run, there will be still an earthen place, not just a voided space. Lord, come and heal the world." Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Thank you very much, Kurt and Kathy, for singing, and thank you especially, Kurt, for sharing that beautiful part of Eric that a lot of us maybe are unfamiliar with. And I can really feel his light and his presence and his smile right now. Just like there were so many invisibles here right now who are no longer with us. What I wanted to speak about tonight the theme was basically grace, gratitude, and generosity. And I asked a few people to speak a little bit who I feel have always been filled with grace, gratitude, and generosity. So I'll be calling on them shortly. I wanted to, I know when we talk about grace, we think of Mary, we think of breathing the air, the whole essence of grace. I mean, we live by grace, and the air couldn't even come into our body, the prana or the life force without grace. So I said, I'm going to look up. I got an iPad for Christmas. Joe got one, which I just know how to look things up. That's all I can do with it. And I said, I'm going to look up the actual dictionary meaning of grace. And it said grace. And the second word, the word after this, touched my soul so deeply. The unmerited favor of God bestowed or blessings. Unmerited. That we do nothing and it's always there. That grace is always there. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think of this is my good karma, this is my bad karma. Did I earn it? Was I this, anything small about ourselves or anything that we could blow up about ourselves as well. But that unmerited blessing that's always with us, that grace, it's in front of us, it walks with us, it breathes through us, it's constantly surrounding us at your time of need and at your time of joy. There's always grace there. And also the other word that came out was a boon. When you get a boon from doing something good, so it was auspicious, and it's this unmerited, this beautiful, constant flow of energy. It's like when we call on Mary. Her graces are there before we could even finish saying her name, flowing down to us. And I felt, personally for me, the minute Hilda walked into a room, it was filled with grace. I could have been such a stinker that week, and I forgot it all when I walked into the room. There was always this tremendous, tremendous grace. And I couldn't possibly put it to words myself until I actually looked up and saw the word unmerited. Because I never did anything, basically, I know, to deserve that in any way. It was her essence, and it was her being, and it was that grace that actually brought us all here right now. And it's actually the air that we're breathing and the thoughts that we're thinking that are of a higher vibratory rate than when we're walking down the street thinking of what we're going to eat next. So, even though grace is there, you have food to eat, there's always grace. There's no way beyond it, away from it. And then I said, okay, we're all very, very grateful. I think most people have gratitude. We give thanks all the time for what we have, and Hilda always said you get what you need, not what you want. That was grace. But it was also great gratitude, because sometimes if you got what you wanted, it wasn't what you wanted. She used to say you're always going to get what you want, but the problem is by the time you get it, you don't want it anymore. I remember her saying that. Remember that? And her whole essence, for me, her whole teaching, her embodiment in my own life, it was all based on her generosity as well. I mean, to me, if Hilda just breathed, that was grace. I had gratitude, and that was great generosity coming from her. And I know Elizabeth has had a whole revelation within herself in this life about gratitude. And I asked her if she could just speak a little bit about that.
Gratitude. Yeah, it's powerful, isn't it? Gratitude has been the cornerstone of my life since the 70s, since I met Hilda. And because her presence and what she taught us, what she taught me the first year I sat with her, which was from 76 to 77, that was my first year. And when I got to her, I had been on chemotherapy for 2 years. And I got to her, and I spent 1 year just sitting in St. John the Divine, receiving, pardon my froggies, receiving this energy and receiving these teachings. And I went, oh, God, what is going on here? And after a year of that, I marched into New York Hospital, and I said, I'm out of here, I don't need this. If I don't absolutely need these drugs, I don't want it. Oh, no, you got it. Anyway, you've all heard this story a billion times. No? 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 Again. Anyway, I marched out. I'd probably still be going over there because they didn't know wrong I should have. Anyway, so I left, and I'm but in any event, our beloved Hilda so touched my life, so touched me. And I felt that she was responsible for the tremendous healing I had in the 70s. And that was the reason I called my first recording Gratitude, because so many people, Hilda and lots of people, helped me to save my life. And I mean, I keep thinking about people who work with people, like your daughter and her fiancé. I think about all of you guys that work with people. And what it is you're giving people back to themselves. You're giving people back their own lives. And what better gift can anybody give you? And that's what Hilda gave me. She gave me my life like, on steroids back, spiritual steroids, because I was so charged. Anyway, years go by. 40 years later, in 2011, I had another dance with cancer, and I was really like, oh, please, what is this? I mean, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that because I feel like we're all creating, we're all hosting things for a reason, and I'm going, oh, what do they do this for? So I had surgery, and then they said chemotherapy and radiation. I said, oh, no. And I finally succumbed to having chemo. I started chemo. The first day that I had chemo, I came home, and Jed was on my machine, and Jed said, I came across something that is for you, and you should have it. I said, okay. So he dropped it off at my house. He was right up the street. He was in town that day doing his Jinshin. And he came over. It was about 5:30, and he handed me this little box, and it was wrapped, and in it was this. And this was a mala that Hilda had wrapped and had intended to give to me on the Christmas of 1987. And it showed up in 2011, on the day that I needed her. I needed to know that she was with me. I mean, I knew she was with me, but I mean, really. So talk about gratitude. I mean, and I took myself off this chemotherapy too. So because you just kind of get when, you know, you just kind of get when it's time to walk. At least I do. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but I just, gratitude, I remember Hilda used to say, gratitude is the heart opener, kids. So being grateful for, also I spell grateful, G-R-E-A-T, if you will, because I know when we are filled with gratitude, we are filled with the great, right? G-R-E-A-T, it's so obvious. Why are we spelling it the other way? It's really stupid. Anyway, so, the heart opener, I forget what I was in my track. But, so I'm grateful for my shower in the morning, and I'm grateful for my wonderful sheets at night, and my fluffy bed, and my fluffy quilt. Just being grateful for all the gifts we have, my Lord, and we look around the world, we are so blessed. And then, the trick is to be grateful, to find that gratitude when things are not looking so good, when it's hard. Because, I mean, we all know if we've lived long enough and we've had enough experiences, that the hardest stuff is what blesses us the most. You know, we kind of go through it, reeling, but at the end of the tunnel, we get great blessings when we go through arduous trials. So then I'm at a concert on West 80-something Street in a synagogue in February of this year. I don't know whether I shared this with you guys. But there was a wonderful group called My Favorite Enemy, and it's a group of exquisite musicians from the United States, from Norway, Jordan, Israel. I mean, all these, it's cultural group. There was about 7 of them, and they were all excellent musicians. In their own countries, they were stars. They were the rock stars. And they sang this wonderful concert, and they'd gotten together. They call themselves My Favorite Enemy, and they go all over the world, and they go into very difficult, places that are riddled with anxiety and hostility and violence and all this stuff. And they sing, and they raise the vibration. I mean, that synagogue was right off the planet that night. It was fabulous. But they sang one song that I was so touched by. It was called Blessed. And the words are, thank you for the sorrow, the times I had to borrow, when my heart was hollow, all my tears and quarrels. Thank you for my madness, all my pain and sadness. Without it, I would be less. Without it, I would be less. Without it, I would not be as blessed. Thank you for the sorrow, the times I had to borrow, when my heart was hollow, all my tears and quarrels. Thank you for my madness, all my pain and sadness. Without it, I would be less. Without it, I would not be as blessed. Isn't that fabulous? Gratitude.
I feel like such a big girl because I did this for the first time in my life. I actually fixed the microphone now. This is a big time for me. Great, thank you. So we get back to grace. We're talking about grace, we're talking about gratitude, and we're talking also about generosity. And generosity is, I actually looked up generosity. I didn't have to, but I wanted to see exactly what Wikipedia or something would say on generosity. Because to me, Hilda was so absolutely generous with, she would give you her heart. She did give us her heart. And she was probably the most generous person I ever met, who was so concerned about the need and the deepness inside every single person. She gave everyone what they needed to become as whole and as wonderful as they really are. She was just so generous with that. And it was giving without expectations what came up. And it's the Buddhist, I practice a lot of Buddhist lineage, a lot of the Buddhist practices every day. And it's the Buddhist antidote for greed. And Hilda used to talk, when she would talk about greed, she goes, God can never give you anything with your hand with a closed fist. Your hand has to be open in order to receive. When you hold on to something, you cannot receive. And that's just so true. You know, it's the same thing as many people saying one door opens, one door closes, and another door opens in our life. But if you just keep a door open, you know, all the saints and masters and the divine ones could just keep walking in. So that open hand is just such an extension of our hearts as well. And to me, Hilda was just so generous. And over the years of going to Hilda's meetings and having the times that I had with Hilda, which I'll talk about a little later, I always think of, you know, when I'm thinking of generosity, I asked Larry if Larry would talk tonight also. And, but Larry was always, to me, absolutely generous. He sends out these emails from his New Jersey School of Massage. And when he sends out these monthly, it's a monthly thing, right, Larry? Is it monthly? Every 2 weeks. He sends out these emails, these messages. And sometimes, you know, I'll look at it as 20 to 12 at night or something, and I'm exhausted. I've been seeing clients all day, and I'm not really thinking of being too spiritual at that moment. I'm thinking, I hope I can sleep tonight. And I'll just read this. And I'm so uplifted, and I feel so fantastic. And to me, that's one of those, it's such a generous thing. It's just a generous thing that Larry does take the time to do that. He's not sitting there, he's not sitting there saying, come to my massage school, take this course, do this, do that. He's sharing the essence of his soul. And for me, it's just the continuity of Hilda, so loving him sharing that love. And then it's coming back into my own backyard, you know, and I asked Larry if he would talk a little tonight also. And because Larry to me has always been extremely, as everybody else, all the musicians are here, been so generous with their time, their song, and their talents over the years. And I really can honestly say when my kids were growing up, and I was at Hilda's meeting, and it was Christmas time, I cannot remember one Christmas when Larry didn't come over with a little something for Lisa and Nicole. I don't know if you remember. He used to come over and it would be a little tiny heart, a little tiny crystal, a little something, you know. And there was always this extra present for them Christmas time. It might have not been a big toy that they were going to get underneath the Christmas tree or anything. But it was that act of generosity, and they'd go home and they'd be looking at their little thing in the car, you know, and talking about counting your blessings, to go back to Elizabeth. I would drive into Hilda's meeting from up in Rockland County, and as we would come into the meetings, I would come in with the children singing Count Your Blessings. Hilda used to have us sing Count Your Blessings, count them one by one. I won't kill you and sing Count Your Many Blessings, see what God has done. And we would think of all our blessings coming in and all our blessings going home. And if you started doing that in the morning, and continue with that throughout the day, you still have so many blessings even left over that you haven't even thanked God for. You know, and it's something very, very small is like the little flowers of St. Teresa Lisieux. You know, it's the small things sometimes. So I'm going to ask Larry if you would like to say something now.
The last time I saw Hilda was Christmas 1987. She was giving a program at William Paterson University. And there was 300-400 people in the audience. And we had the whole God Squad there behind her. And she was in rare form that evening. And we knew that she was having struggles, but she would never show you. The show must go on. And I remember we were singing the St. Francis song, and at the very end, we kept repeating the line, with all that I survey. What is it?
I'm so much in love.
So much in love with all that I survey. And she kept saying, do it again, kid, do it again. And she was standing up there, shaking her arms, sending out this love vibration to everybody. And people were crying everywhere in the room. And it was a remarkable, remarkable evening of generosity. When you think of Hilda, you think of a person who gave it away all the time, never charged. It was something that was unique. She didn't call herself Sri Swami Ramalama Ding Dong or anything like that. It was just plain old Hilda. And there was no fanfare, and she didn't want you to bow at her feet. In fact, she'd be nervous if you did, although she was the first one to bow to people. She was so gracious with anybody who came through, a swami, a priest, a rabbi, whoever it was, they were always welcome. And she would give people a seat of honor. And she'd be in the middle of talking her lesson, and somebody would walk in through the back who might have been elderly, and there was no seats. And she would immediately right onto that person. Or she'd say, somebody would be coughing in the audience, and she'd say, Al, give this lifesaver to that lady. She was always taking care of everybody in the room. She was cognizant. And that's the sign of greatness. That she could be aware, like Padre Pio would have thousands of people out in the field, well, maybe not field, but in that plaza that he has it, and he would know that one person, and he would run out into the audience and hit him. Don't think like that. You know, it was that kind of generosity of spirit where she was open, never charging, never doing anything for her own aggrandizement. Right? We would go to her meditation classes on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights and Friday nights, and then people would come up to her house on Saturdays and Sundays, and it was always an open door. She would feed everybody. She really did what Sai Baba's guru, Maharaji said. He said, feed people, right? That was his teachings, feed people. And Hilda did that openly with generosity. She also said, in the Bible, ask and ye shall receive. But the thing is that when we do our prayers, when we ask, we're always kind of like whining at God. I think, oh, I need this, come on. But the truth was, and Linda said it, and so did Elizabeth, that it's through gratefulness, it's through that openness and that love that opens the door to your own dreams, your own intentions. You know, it's that gratitude that opens your heart, that allows you to gain access into the great storehouse of God. So I tell people when I teach meditation class, I say, after you meditate, go through your thanking of the universe, go through your gratefulness, and that will put you in a space where you have God's ear. And at that point, then you run through your intentions. What do you want? What do you want to fulfill? What do you want to succeed with? What do you think you need? Etc. Because if you ask, then you receive. But you got to ask, and I'm just learning this now, you got to ask from that place of total abundance, from total gratitude. I think it's the gratitude that opens that door. So Hilda used to tell us that God is so generous that will give you everything that you need to get by. And you see the magic all the time in your own lives because there's so many small little coincidences that happen that if you're paying attention, the magic is afoot. That your guides, your guardians are all paying attention to you. So I like that. One last thing. Somebody posted on Facebook a 4-minute video about the Hubble telescope. If anybody has friended me on Facebook, go to my wall, and it's right at the top. It's the last thing I posted. It's 4 minutes of the most amazing video, and it's a scientist that's talking about how in 1996 they turned the most powerful telescope in the Earth. Well, it's not even in the Earth anymore. The most powerful telescope that we've ever had, the Hubble, to a blank part of space for 10 days, not knowing what they would find, and they allowed the images of that blank part of space to impress themselves on the film. When they developed the film after 10 days, they found 100 billion galaxies. 100 billion galaxies. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, has an estimated 100 billion stars. There's 100 billion galaxies with 100 billion stars each. And when you hear it, now they're showing me the pictures from the Hubble from 1996. Then they said, in 2004, we've developed the ability, the science, to now create a 3D dimension of all of those galaxies that you can see them in relation to us and to the world. They said that the galaxies were moving away from us at the speed of light, so that we can go back 33 billion years back to the galaxies. And it's on this video. It's amazing, because remember when that band Kansas said that we were all dust in the wind? Well, it's worse than that. There's 100 billion galaxies that all look like the Milky Way, with 100 billion stars and probably trillions of planets, probably all inhabited by people like us, or something like that, right? But I was thinking, it's such an impossible thing to think about. 100 billion galaxies with 100 billion stars each. And I'm thinking that maybe each one of us is a galaxy inside here. We are a galaxy with all these hundreds of billions of cells inside of us, and it's that whole microcosm, macrocosm thing. So after I got completely overwhelmed by that concept, the thought of, wow, I'm really just nothing, then I started realizing what an opportunity this is, because now that I'm completely just dust in the wind, I can really get some work done. Because now I can be so humble about it. Because you can imagine, when you get over to the other side, St. Peter's standing at the gate. Oh, it's you? What did you do this time? Well, I was the president of the AARP, or, this, that. And they look at you as if, you mean you came from that planet of the little brains? Where they only are 2% smarter than a pig? Because, we use 6% of our brain, a pig uses 4% of its brain, right? So if you ever get an ego about anything, forget it. Because one generation removed, you don't even remember the first names of your great-grandparents, right? So we really are just temporary. So what I always tell everybody is, do everything that you can to transform the world, because it's going to be anonymous anyway. You can have as much ego as you want. No one's going to remember you. No one cares. It's nothing. So you don't have to worry about having a personal ego or walking around with a strut, because strut all you want. Right? Strut while you're down here. Be loud. Be wild. Be crazy, because it doesn't make a difference anyway. Right? That's what I've been thinking as of late. So that makes me much more humble, because even the President of the United States, when they get over to the other side, St. Peter's standing there just like him, like St. Peter. Hey, are you St. Peter? And just like that, I was the President of the United States. And they just laugh at you, So that's what I'm thinking, that give it away, devote your whole life to doing wonderful things, so that we don't have to lie about you at your funeral. Right? Because everybody that's ever died is the greatest person that ever lived, and of course we want our ministers to say that, because it makes us all feel better about Dad and someone like that, But the truth is that we can really do so much great things, and you're going to be anonymous anyway. Carlos Castaneda was told by his teacher, Don Juan, or at least that's the name, Yaki Don Juan, he said, be anonymous, right? Be invisible. You don't even have to worry about that. You're going to be anonymous and invisible anyway. Get some good stuff done, so that when we have a funeral, we can say, wonderful things like he said about Eric. That was great, right? There's a life well lived. You know, wherever he goes, he brought Hilda, right? And that's a great thing. You know, we'll keep Hilda, we'll give her all the credit, because we don't need it, right? Anyway, that's it.
I remember Hilda telling us sometimes, when you're feeling very important, take a bucket of water. And remember that one? Stick your hand in the bucket and then pull it out. And the hole that you leave in the water is about as much as you're going to be missed. You know, that's how important you are, you know? And I used to tell my kids, don't just get a bucket of water, you know? And the generosity of Hilda, what Larry is talking about also, was to me just so immense and so tremendous, because she knew what everyone needed, and to be generous enough to give everyone what they needed, to be that omnipresent, you know, at that moment. To me, it was just, if anyone came to her meeting and you were thinking of anything and you had anything on your mind, what happened? She discussed it that night. But guess what? Sometimes there were 400 people there or something like that, and every single person walked out and goes, she was talking about just what I was going through that night. It was just absolutely amazing, and that was great. That was a tremendous amount of grace in that, to be able to have your answers answered without ever even having to ask the question. And I don't want to go off on what I'm going to say, you know. And what I wanted, I have to keep notes. I'm getting older, so I have to keep notes now. When Jed asked me to do this class, he asked me under these circumstances of having a finger that was bleeding like crazy. I was at getting darshan. I was like out of my body, my finger's bleeding. And Jed goes, will you do the meeting, the peace meeting? I said, Jed. He goes, you did it before, you could do it again. Meanwhile, he's helping me so much. He's actually, and Jed's being there stopped the bleeding, and it wouldn't stop for a very, very long time before that. So that's how I wound up here tonight. The other night, I was going to bed, and sometimes I do a few little things that Hilda had passed on that she did in her life, and it stays with you. It's like special candy that you save forever and you never eat. And, but you know it's always there, and so it's like you have it all the time. And sometimes when I have a hard time going to bed at night, Hilda used to say when she went to bed at night, sometimes she would just hold the sheet in her hand and feel as though she was holding on to Jesus' cloak. So when I'm in bed at night, sometimes I just automatically do that, you know, when I'm having a hard time and Jesus is there automatically. And there's this transcendent thing that takes place, and I'm not in my bed anymore. And I have this great bliss, so nothing matters anymore at that time. Well, the other night I was going to bed, and I was just thinking maybe I should make some notes for the meeting. So I went down to the computer and I just typed up a few notes, and then I went back to bed and I had a dream. And Hilda, I'm not one of the people that Hilda comes to in dreams all the time and says, my divine daughter, I love you so much and I miss you so much. I mean, you know, Hilda could come and just be standing there for 1 minute and I'll be blissed out for 1 year. Okay, so the rare times that I do see her, I see her a lot in meditation and I feel her with me all the time. But in the dream world, it's not something that I am graced with that much. On occasion it's happened. And many times it does happen when I'm going to be at a meeting. So I had a dream, and in this dream I was at this peace meeting, but I lost my notes. And Hilda was standing. She was just standing nearby. And I was trying to remember in the dream what I was going to share with the class. So I asked the class, what did you get from the meetings? And the class had one word, and the one word was Hilda. And that word encompassed everything. It encompassed such darshan, healing, love, light, blessings, everything. It was just in that one word, Hilda. And to me, when I woke up from the dream, to me it was the summation, an example of grace, gratitude, and generosity, and it was personified in one person that I had come across, and I had the great grace to meet and be with in my life. And I feel that Hilda is with us all the time. You know, it's absolutely continuous. There's no break. The only time we're separate is when we forget. And I just want to share a little bit of the things that I hold very, very dear to myself about my relationship with Hilda, and things that, it's not my relationship with her, basically it's, if I could clarify it and put it into, from a piece of coal into a diamond, basically, it would be how I was able, through God's grace, to observe and see Hilda at certain times interact with other people that put me in absolute awe. So I'm going to go back with you in 1983. We went to, a lot of us went with Hilda to Europe. We went to visit a lot of the holy places. We went to Joan of Arc's. We went to Assisi, Stonehenge, a lot of different places with her awards. But what stood out in my mind was Hilda's interaction with some of the people who were on that trip. I was able to watch this great being in these precious moments. And I remember being in this church in Reims where where Joan of Arc crowned the king, okay? And in this church, Hilda was there. In the back of the church, there was this big wrought iron gate, and the gate was closed. It was a closed gate. And in that area was this beautiful, magnificent statue of Joan of Arc on a horse. And I really wanted to go back there. And walked over to the gate, and the gate was closed. So he basically couldn't go in there, so we went back into the church. And we're walking around and praying, and then Hilda walks over to the gate, and the gate went like this. Just opened by itself. And we went into that area, the Navy went into that area, and we were able to sit and meditate and have, I know I had an absolutely phenomenal meditation at that time. And it was no effort, it was you know, the gates open. It's like the gates to the divine open when you're in that state of consciousness. And it wasn't which was, I'm going to open these gates by the power in me or anything like that. You know, it was just Hilda. There's just energy in the universe, and she's one with everything. So those gates basically, they just opened. And to me, I still think about that, and it's just such a powerful visual essence in my life. And then I remember when we were in Assisi. As many of you know, Hilda was St. Colette in a past life. And there was one little church in Assisi, and this church had the sisters there that were Calatines. And we went up to the doorway of the convent. And we knocked on the convent door to see if we could Hilda thought we could just come in and we could visit them. And the sister came to the door. You know, we could not go in, but what the most miraculous thing that happened was it was raining. And I'm standing there in the rain, and Hilda is standing there talking to this beautiful nun who now is became a Collatine. And here's St. Colette talking to her. And it wasn't raining on Hilda. Okay? No rain on her at all. And those are the moments that may not seem like they're, you know, so fantastic to some people, or just a story, but to be there and to witness that, because there was a presence within her that I can't put into words and I can't describe. So I won't diminish it by even trying to do that, okay? Because I'm certainly not in a place where I can even put that into words. I remember we went to Stonehenge, and we were in Stonehenge, and the guard there comes over and says to Steve, one of the guys there, "Is she a faith healer?" And it was so cold. It was so cold there, it was ridiculously cold. It was the coldest I think I ever was in my life. And Steve turned around and said, "Yes, she is." And he said, "Here, this is for her." And he gave her a piece of stone that was from Stonehenge. I mean, how these things came about. And on the trip, I kept saying to Hilda, you know, at the beginning of the trip, I kept saying to Hilda, when I would sit with her, I would say, "What do you know about Mary Magdalene? What do you know about Mary Magdalene? I love her so much, I need to know more." And Hilda said, "Linda, if you want to know anything about her, you're going to have to go inside yourself to find it." And then when we went to Lisieux, it was the winter time, and St. Teresa's house was closed, and Anna Maria spoke French, and somehow things turned out fantastic, and they opened up her house for us to go into her home. And we go into the house, and this was, I guess this was when we got to, this was after Italy, so this was when we got to France. And we get to the house, and we go into the family, the great room, the living room there. And in the living room, there's this tremendous, beautiful picture over the couch of Mary Magdalene. And Hilda turned around and said, "Linda, that's for you." You know? And to me, it wasn't there for me, it was for her family. But the fact that Hilda said that was for me put me into another place of knowledge. And there's one thing that we get in life, we get a lot of information. There's so much information out there. There's whatever channel you want to put on, whatever frequency you want to tune into. There's the internet, there's iClouds that I don't even know about. There's all this stuff out there. There's just so much information, but there's a great difference between information and knowledge. Hilda gave us knowledge. She used to say, "You know because you know because you know." And she says, "You say that it's true, and you shake your head yes, but how could you know that if you didn't already know it?" So what I'm telling you, you already knew, is what Hilda would say. And that was one thing, when we went to a Hilda class, or people sat with Hilda, they received knowledge. It came from within her, it went inside you. And knowledge just grew and grew and grew, and it doesn't leave. That's great wisdom. You know, in the Buddhist lineage, it's to become wise. You know, it's a wisdom teaching. Everything is to become wiser. And having statistics and numbers and all the information helps us through school, and it helps us through life. And you know which street to get off on. I was going to go to the wrong street because I couldn't see the garden that's in the middle of this church. I thought it was going to be outside for some reason. And there's so much information, but she gave us such knowledge. When she told you something, or she read something to you, if she read an article, and that article was an informative article, by her reading that article, it became knowledge inside us. So even if she read information, it even became knowledge. So there was a big difference between having information and knowledge. You can read so many books, you know, and we've all done it. You know, you read books on this type of meditation and that type of meditation. You breathe up your left nostril and out your right nostril, and then you're doing other breathing practices, and then you're standing on your head. And, you know, we've done all these things in our life. Sleep on a hardwood floor, think you're going to become enlightened that way. My husband used to love it when I say goodnight and go lay down on a wood floor because I was going to be a yogini. I have a very, very tolerant husband. He knew I would get through that also. You know, doing japa all night long so the bed is shaking. And but her teachings were where she shared her experiences. And it was this great knowledge that she was able to give out and awaken us to. And I remember saying to her one day, Hilda, I can't read that book anymore. I can't read anything anymore. We're up on the land. I said, I can't read anymore. She goes, oh, Linda, those days of reading have been over. And I kept thinking, gee, maybe I'm smart. I don't have to read anything anymore. I might know something. You know, got a little puffed up there. And then I realized, you know, it's all about knowledge. It's all about going inwards and basically having that knowledge. And in her teachings, Hilda shared all her experiences that she had with us. The funny ones, the hard ones, the joyful ones, the blissful ones, the stumbling ones. She shared her experience. And she also, in her generosity, she took time to attend to every call she ever received for healing. I hear so many people, and even my own self saying, oh gosh, how many people can you talk to in one day? You know, this person's complaining and that person's complaining, and most people say, well, you know, it's a little exhausting. Well, her phone rang off the hook. And the one wonderful thing was that for the person on the other end, they got healed. You know, but Hilda attended with her generosity, irregardless of her health, irregardless of time of day. She responded and cared about every single person who called up for healing in any way. I remember once going to a meeting in the loft. We used to have meetings, and it was on Friday night. And my daughter was very little then. She must have been about 7 or 8 years old, and she had asthma, and she had trouble breathing. And I drove from Rockland County into the city, and I went to Hilda's meeting, and I ran up to Hilda after the meeting, and I said to Hilda, could you please pray? Felisa, could you please pray for her? She's having trouble breathing. And Hilda said to me, well, what are you doing here if she's not feeling good at home? I said, I came here so you could pray for her and she'd be fine. You know, so, I mean, of course she prayed immediately. And when I went home, she was fine. And there were just so many miracles that took place also from Hilda's healings. And the healings that took place, I just want to keep relating the word healing to generosity. I mean, how many people remember Allen Ginsberg here? You know, remember he used to have that little harmonium and he would say, what was it? Do the meditation, do the meditation, do the meditation, practice patience and generosity. And he would say generosity, 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 generosity. And being generous and having generosity is such a phenomenal, wonderful thing because your hand is open and you're not holding on to anything, you know. And just watching Hilda time and time again with her hand always outstretched, the phone ringing off the hook, even Elizabeth talking about, you know, her Christmas present, you know. Hilda took time to buy Christmas presents for every single person. You know, she would make sure that everybody had a Christmas present. In her class, she would give out these little Marys, remember? She gave us these little Marys, and she said, she gave people a choice. I think it was Mary or a picture of Sai Baba. And this was back in '76. And when she handed it to me, she goes, "Keep it with you all the time." I keep it with me all the time, except when I go to the beach. Okay? Then I don't keep it with me all the time. And all the wonderful people that Hilda had around her, who were also so absolutely generous. And I'm going to divert from this a little to try to relate something that I went through recently, which has to do with great generosity and great giving. I mean, Hilda's generosity and her giving to me is no different than Jesus, okay, or any of the goddesses or gods in history who have given so much of themselves. For many of you remember Ingrid? Well, Ingrid and I used to talk about going to Hawaii together. And Ingrid would tell me about the goddess Pele. And it was about the last year before Ingrid had passed on. And she was really feeling good when we were saying, we're going to go next year, we're going to go to Hawaii, and we're going to go together. And Ingrid always tried to do things low scale. I said, but we're going to stay in really nice hotels, and we're going to do it upscale. And she had told me about the goddess Pele, who is this goddess of pure light, pure Shakti, who dwells within the volcano, but she dwells within all the volcanoes. She dwells within the essence of your heart. She's the Jyoti, she's the light, she's the Atma. And I went to Hawaii this year on vacation, and when I went, I felt I was being called by Pele. I was going to go there to meet her. And I thought of going a few years ago, but it was a little hard for me to think of going without Ingrid, so I had to wait till I went through a period of time where I wasn't going to think about her all the time, but I thought about her every single day anyhow. And I went there, and I'm meditating in Hawaii. Nothing's happening to me. I'm looking at this volcano. Nothing is happening. You know, I go, well, I couldn't sleep at the hotel. I really felt very, not myself, very, the only word I could describe is famished. And I really had a hard time with it. And then we went on this road to Hana. And it's a road that you take from one end of Maui to the other. And there are certain places that you stop off along the way. And we stopped off at this black sand beach. And at this black sand beach, there was this big blowhole. And that's where the water comes out, you know, shoots out, and it was all volcanic. And there's a big sign that says, keep away. But people were there. So I figured I would go over to the blowhole. There were other people there. I could walk over too, you know. So I walk over, and I go to pick up some stones. Just 3 stones. I was just going to pick up 3 stones, one for each of my grandchildren to bring home from the volcano. And as I go to pick up the stones, I hear, do this, take this in remembrance of me. And to me it was like receiving communion, but that second I was transported to this space and time, and I was in the center of the volcano with this magnificent light form. I couldn't see a face, I couldn't see eyes, I couldn't see a nose, but this Shakti, this energy. And it was just so powerful. And at that moment when I heard, do this in remembrance of me, I was feeling like, you know, I don't like to take anything from the earth unless I get permission or anything like that. And then the rest of the vacation, and the rest of, since that happened, there was so much that I could see that is true communion in life. That was just like, to me, receiving communion. And how much, today when I sat down to meditate, and in meditation I heard Hilda say to me, I was having a hard time meditating. You know, my phone kept ringing, and my phone announces who's calling, which makes it, you know, call from Arizona, call from River Space, call from, you know. and the phone is talking and talking and talking, and I'm starting all over again, and the phone is talking. And I said, Hilda, I go, oh, well, I'll just breathe in love and just breathe out love, like Hilda used to say to do, because I'm being so distracted. And I just felt the presence of Hilda, and I felt her say, let my love embrace you, and let it fill you. And that's all I needed. And to me, that goes back to picking up the stone and remembrance and having that grace and gratitude and the generosity of do this or take this in remembrance of me. How generous of Mother Earth. How she gives so much to us continuously. And I think that everybody needs to be more reverent than we actually are. I could find, many times during the day where I could just try to remember a little more of that grace and have a little more gratitude. And it was, I guess I covered all my little notes over here. So I went go cuckoo. And a lot of what I wanted to say about Hilda, I was able to find in my jewelry box. I have a jewelry box where I keep my most precious things. And it's there with my invitation to John Lindsay's inauguration. Hey, I made it to get an invitation, right? And it wasn't the public one. And I just keep very, very precious things in the bottom of this little place. And what I wanted to share is one day when I was up on the land, and I don't remember if I was going through something or not. And this is the grace, gratitude, and this is generosity together. And there's a little note waiting for me in my room, and I'll just skip the part of it. A message from Hilda. Hilda loves you very much. She's always with you. This is probably the most precious thing that's in my jewelry box. Then I knew it was there, and I'm just going to share a letter with you that Hilda wrote. And I was very blessed. Hilda would stay in my house sometimes when I would go on vacation and have meetings at my house sometimes, and I was very, very graced by that. And this sums up grace, gratitude, and generosity in one short letter. So I thought I'd share it with you. Hilda shared so much of her experiences that she had with all these holy people. And I said, you hold on to all your experiences sometimes. You could say, oh, don't tell the person this, it'll weaken it. It'll just make it grow. Everything needs to be planted and watered. Dear Linda and Joe, it was the most wonderful vacation. I sat and read while Jed, Volley, and Shanti went to the beach all day. We left Saturday morning. That is why there is no light on. How sweet of you to allow us to stay in your home. The vibes are divine. I use the air conditioner a little during the hottest parts of the day. I hope this little love offering covers the added expense. Now, please don't bring the subject up unless I owe more. So now you can't say anything. Remember, it's summer rates now. All calls on the telephone were made collect. If they come on by mistake, tell Jed and he'll tell me. And then she listed all the phone numbers she called and left $20 on there. Sometimes when I have the satsang at my house, some people would be coming on the way up to the land or something. So I'd have bagels and soup at the house. And I always find on top of my refrigerator, I'm assuming it was Hilda, unless somebody else was as generous as her, folded up dollar bills. There would always be money left up there on top of the refrigerator. And it was always folded, it was folded like in a little square. And there was a time when my kids were little and I worked in camp. And I taught yoga for 8 hours in the sun to kids from 4 to 14. They threw things in my head when I meditated. Little boys would tell me their father does army yoga. It was very bizarre, but it was really wonderful because children are so open. They would all be they'd be leaving their bodies all the time, telling me they're flying with eagles and everything. It was really wonderful, but it was challenging with some of the kids. You're talking about 8 classes during the day. And at that time I was teaching so my kids could go to camp for free because I couldn't afford for the kids to go to camp. And on occasion, I had this pocketbook, and the pocketbook had these little flaps on the outside, which I would never put money in. And if anybody knows, even my friends who came to me tonight, if they ever saw me with money, I crumble it up, I throw it in my pocketbook, it's falling out all over the place, I'm always having to organize it, I'm not very neat with it. And I said, oh gosh, Joe doesn't get paid for 2 more days. I don't even have milk in the house, I'm serious, I don't even have milk in the house at this time. I said, I guess I'll have to go home and take money from this or take money from that envelope. In those days, the early days, people don't do it anymore. They have credit cards, you had envelopes. Gas, electric, telephone, rent, you had it all in envelopes. And it would be, I forgot what I needed, but I forgot what it was, there was like $2 or $3 folded up in a perfect square. And then the kids needed to go. It was another time, and I think they needed money for a trip at camp, and I didn't have any money with me. And it was $22, and there was $22 folded up in little squares. And to me, this is all grace. And to me, I don't know if I'm redundant, if I had mentioned this before. Did I tell the story about my passport here? Did anybody ever hear that? What happens is when we were going off to Europe that time, I really, really wanted to go. And we didn't, Joe, my husband, said, I got a bonus, so, just take my bonus and that'll pay for the trip and the plane tickets. And I applied for I saw Hilda Sunday at the Skanda Temple. And I said to Hilda, I decided I'm going to meet you in Italy. I'm going to come on the trip. And she goes, that's wonderful, dear. And I said, yes. I said, she goes, do you have a passport or something? Yes, I applied for a passport yesterday, Friday. So Friday I applied for a passport. We were leaving pretty soon. And she said, okay. All right, she just said, okay. I said, okay, great, I'm going to go with Hilda. This is going to be fantastic. I needed $250 for my Eurail ticket. Of course, I didn't have the $250 for my Eurail ticket. So I went to the mailbox that Monday. Now, I want you to realize I applied for my passport on Friday. This was Monday. I went to the mailbox. There was a check from the adult education program where I taught yoga and meditation for $250, and my passport was in the mailbox. How did that happen? To me those are little miracles, and we could just say it's a miracle, it's a miracle. But I don't need to call it a miracle, because to me it's grace. And grace is that absolutely unmerited boon that we receive. And to just have all the grace that we've had throughout the years, even having these meetings now, and the grace of a satsang and a supportive group, and a place to call when we get emails from Jed to pray for somebody who needs prayers. People pray for them. It does help. And there are people who are praying positive. Hilda did like, you say, well, I hope I hope they get healed, you know, if they get healed. You know, certain words weren't part of their vernacular. I mean, there was no such word as hope that way. I hope they get better, or if they get better. It was, they are better. It wasn't even when they get better. You know, they were already better. And you basically had to see them that way. And all the years of being there gave me that knowledge, that inner knowledge. I don't know why I just thought of this. I don't know why, because I was talking about the Calatines before, and my mind wanders all over the place. I'm a Gemini, so I'm always doing two things at once. And I always remember when we went to St. Colette's. Remember when we were at St. Colette's, we were in the church, they had a piece of St. Colette's rib, you know, in front of the cell where St. Colette was. And Hilda says, "That's why my rib is always hurting." I don't know what made me think of that right now, you know, but for some reason, you know, that came up from that trip. But that was just, I'm just saying it, that's also grace. That was basically watching that and seeing that. And it wasn't like somebody saying, "Do you know, in a past life, I was told I was this fantastic queen or king and this great saint." And there on the wall is a relic. You know, it's just simple Hilda. I wouldn't want my ribs always bothering me. You know, she was able to come down to our level, to bring us up to her level. She used to talk about involution and evolution. So she used to say two things were always happening at the same time. There's involution where God wants to come down inside. God flows down, the Holy Spirit comes down to us. And there's evolution where we're evolving, and that's the subconscious. And then you go, "Oh no, that can't be happening," you know? And these little things. So I'm sure a lot of people here listen to Hilda's CDs now. They're not tapes anymore, right? I still listen to tapes. And just realize that this is such great, great knowledge. When you're reading her books and you're hearing other people tell a story, it's not information that you're receiving. It's the transmission of a deep knowledge of the soul that's taking place. And that's deeper than anything else. I remember when I first came to Hilda's class, I was listening to Hilda's voice on the radio, and my yoga teacher had spoken to me about Hilda. And Hilda happened to be on the radio that day. And I was listening to the radio. And Hilda was doing the meditation, and I was sitting here with my palms up like this, meditating, you know. And I think at that point I was just reading Yogananda, and he said to hold your hands like that. I was doing whatever I was reading was telling me to do. And my hands were overflowing with tears. And Hilda said to me once, we were in St. John the Divine, and we were in a side room, and that was, I think we were doing security for the Dalai Lama. And she said, there were a group of us in there. She goes, kids, how long have you been with me? And she goes, how did you come to me? She said, how did you come to me? And I told her how I came to, you know. I said that week I went to your class and I never stopped coming, you know. And I said, these tears just kept coming. And she said, that was the moment your soul came forth. And I became so aware, not that I didn't have a soul before, but you know, that my soul came completely forth in that presence of that deep knowledge. You know, it was knowing. It was, we will have it. We will have those moments when you know that you know that you know. And when Hilda looked at you a certain way or said something to you, it didn't make a difference whether it was positive or negative. I mean, people always telling stories about Hilda said this to me and made me feel this way or made me feel that way. Let's get honest. Hilda made you feel fantastic. She made you feel like you're worth $1 million. you know, no matter what, no matter how she did it, she made you feel like you could really, really do things. She used to have this, I remember in the loft, a lot of us, I would say probably 99% of us did not like to get up and talk, right? We didn't like to get up and talk. And everybody just wanted to sit there and meditate. You know, I remember I used to go up to the loft and I used to look at one or two people there and I go, oh my God, I'll never be as holy as them. Look at them, oh my God, they're so engrossed in God. Oh my God, I'm only meditating 3-4 hours a day. Look at them, they meditate all day long. And she would give a discourse for the night. And she would turn around and she would just turn around and just say, okay, get up. She would say, Rita, just get up and give a talk right now on unconditional love and talk like a master. You know, so your heart was beating so fast that you couldn't even hear anymore what you were saying because you were pounding so much. But she was training us. She was giving us so much grace and she was taking so many people out of that space of just sitting there like this and just realizing who they were, coming from a place of knowledge, not coming from a place of ego. She wanted us to talk from within ourselves, from within our heart, from within our soul, from that essence, that deep, deep essence where there was no you and me. There was just one of us. There was just the Atma there, you know? It's like Mary saying, the Lord has magnified my soul. And that's what I really feel a lot of the grace, gratitude, and the generosity by sharing that with you. I hope it was okay that I shared that with you. You know, it's something that I would really like, you know, I look at it and I read it every once in a while, not every year, every couple of years or something like that. And you notice I never spent the $20 bill. You know, I'll always have abundance. Never spend that $20 bill, but I did spend the other money because I did need that money. And she attended. She actually was, and I really believe this, a humble handmaiden of God. And all she wanted ever was to bring people to God. There was nothing else. She wanted everyone to know that they were God, that they were divine, that they were capable of being healed, that they were worthy of being healed, that they were magnificent. And she always used to say, take what you got and make what you want. And that's one thing that I feel is very instrumental in my life. Taking what I've got and make what I want. And when you have what you got, guess what? You don't even need to make what you want because you don't want anything because you've already got it. You know, things were parables.
Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Mahadeva 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 Shambho. Jaya Jaya Shiva Shambho. Jaya Shiva Shambho.
It's remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender in times of trouble and woe. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender. That's the way we grow. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender in times of trouble and woe. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender. That's the way we grow. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender in times of trouble and woe. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender. That's the way we grow. One last time. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender in times of trouble and woe. Remember to surrender in every moment. Remember to surrender. That's the way we grow.
Reading about Barbara. You know, she was a great friend. She came to, she was always with us. She was always ready to give and to serve. Anyone who needed a place to stay always found a place. Anything that was needed in the classroom, she would purchase and she would bring it. Always one step ahead. She was a great kindergarten teacher. When my daughter was in kindergarten, you know, she liked lots of attention. So on her birthday, I had to bake for Mrs. Kanabe's class too, even though she wasn't in Mrs. Kanabe's class, because she liked her. And I think you'll remember her because the last time she sang Walk on the Sunny Side of the Street. And I told her daughters, I'd never seen Barbara be so happy. She was here dancing and moving around. You remember her now. You remember the ones who don't know her. Beautiful human being, always giving, always thinking about others. That's all I can say right now.
So much in love with all that I survey. I wonder if that's what Hilda felt like when she looked out, sitting on the stage, at all the open hearts coming to visit her, to see her, for her darshan, for her blessings. Whether they just wanted to grow spiritually or they came for healing. I'm sure when Hilda looked out at them, she was so much in love with all that she surveyed. So let's just go into meditation now. Let's just hold that beautiful energy. The energy of being in love with all that you survey. So sit up tall, back straight. Feet on the ground, legs uncrossed. Top of your head holding up the heavens. And let's just bring the awareness to the grace, the great grace of this special moment. And bring the awareness and attention to our breath. And just notice the cool air that's flowing into our bodies. By grace. Is grace love? Is it the Holy Spirit? Just let that grace flow into you. His prana, his life. Just let that breath become aware of it and watch it flow in. Watch it flow out. Grace moves, ever flowing. Pure spirit. And now just journey with me for a moment into a room and see the room filled with light. And in that room, if you like, seeing before you the form of your beloved. It could be Jesus, Baba, Hilda, Mary. We're just using the form to reach the essence. And that form is before you. We use the personal to reach the impersonal. And you just feel the grace and the presence of the sacred moment of having that being before you, knowing their blessings are upon you. And as you breathe in the grace and the wonder of life, the healing essence begins to flow through every atom and cell of your body as gratitude. So now let's bring our awareness to the center of our chest level of our heart, into the Anahata chakra. And let's just breathe in, breathe love into the center of your chest. Let that love flow into you. And let it flow through you to every atom and cell of your being. Know that you are receiving such grace. Feel the grace of the earth beneath you, giving life. The grace of the heavens above you. We're here by grace. Let's just breathe in again to the center of our chest, and let's just breathe in grace. And let it take the form of pure light. Feel that golden, radiant, white light in the center of your chest. And as you breathe out, let it flow through your legs, filling your legs with its golden river of light. Every atom and cell, tissue, bone, nerve ligament is filled with light. And your legs begin to become light of love. Breathe into your heart again. Feel that grace flow into you, and as you breathe out, let that golden light flow down your arms, to the palms and your fingers. So all you touch is touched by light. Whether you remember or forget, light is there. Let's breathe in again to the center of our chest, this golden essence of healing, of love, of light. And as we breathe out, let it fill our face, our eyes, our ears, our skull, our brain. We allow the alchemy to take place, where we come home to that place of pure knowledge. Let us breathe in again to our heart. Fill it with this golden essence, this purity. And as we breathe out, let it fill our torso and our body. So from the tips of our toes to the top of our head, all the atoms and cells in our body have readjusted. They're peaceful. We breathe in, and every atom and cell of our beings receives this grace. Absorb it. Our physical body has now readjusted itself. And now we allow this grace, this gentle healing light to flow into our minds, to all the thoughts, not looking at them, not labeling them. Let this ancient light, which has no beginning or end, let it flow into our mental bodies. And all thoughts that we've had to this moment are bathed in the grace of this light. Not judged, not condemned, not boastful, just adjusted, allowing all that was to receive what is. Let us embrace that light. And let the light embrace us. The light of love. One light, love, and peace. And now we breathe this golden white essence, so pure, so untouched by life, into the emotional body. To all the desires, even the desires to be holy. All the ups, all the downs, they melt into the light. And now we are aligned. Now we are ready. We are open to receive the light, to acknowledge the light within us and in all creation. And now just journey with me to places where you find the light. Just see that flame of love in your own heart. Feel it like the flame in the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Let it melt you, mold you. The Spirit of God. That flame come into you. Shine bright. And now from your heart, seeing that flame, that radiant light, begin to touch the hearts of all beings. That flame of love, flame in the Sacred Heart of Jesus, a flame in the heart of Hilda, in the mind of Hilda, in the hands of Hilda. That pure energy of light. The light of the goddess Pele. The light that flows from the graces of Mary. Just take a moment to feel gratitude for all the light in your life. Just saying within your heart and soul, thank you. To the people who have come into your lives and blessed you, thank you. The family and the ancestors, who've given you their love, thank you. For the friends that extend their hands, thank you. For all the saints that are part of your life, say thank you. That gratitude flow to them, nourish them. For all the blessings, thank you. Saint Francis, thank you for personifying humility and total surrender. Archangel Raphael, thank you for healing, being present. Lazuma, thank you. Thank you for your essence, for your light. Mother Mary, thank you for comforting me, blessing me, giving me peace, placing your Son as an infant in my heart, where he can grow and fill me with his light. Thank you, Baba, for your love, your eternal love. Always there, always present. Speak to your beloveds inside your heart for a moment. Thank you, St. Anthony, you've never failed. And Padre Pio. Little Flower, Jeanne d'Arc. Amal, thank you. Nityananda, thank you. Saint Anne, thank you for your daughter. that gratitude, oh, let it melt you. Let it mold you to a being so wonderful. Just allow that gratitude to grow and grow. Gratitude for St. Martin. And now I have great gratitude for Hilda. Because Hilda, from the essence of yourself, from your love and knowledge, you gave me all my beloveds to thank. Jesus was always there, and Mary was always there. But you placed them in my heart and placed me in their heart. All the great ones, red blanket, you shared them all with us. Let us not forget them. We feel the generosity, the great generosity of your heart, filled with lessons, knowledge. Those lessons and knowledge do not exist in the world of thought. They flow into the sacred heart of our soul, so deep, so deep. And there we find love. Acknowledge that love. Acknowledge it, not breath. Acknowledge it as it fills the air. Acknowledge love in every atom, in every seed of the earth, every promise of tomorrow. And love of all the lessons of the past. Let's breathe into our heart again. Go so far in that we bring the awareness up into the forehead. Rise into the forehead. Rise into the third eye. About an inch above the eyebrows. And allow that light to fill you. To fill your skull, if you still have one. Light begin to emanate all around you. Let it rise up 6 feet above you. Let it flow 6 feet below you. Let it flow to the left of you, to the right of you. Push it out as far as you can. And behind you and in front of you. We ask the daughter of light to bless us, to lead us deeper into our hearts. That from our hearts is where the words come. Let the Spirit of the living God flow and flow and flow through you, in you. Now with this great generosity, overflowing with light, let us begin to feel this light become even brighter and brighter, wider and wider. Let it take in this entire building, fill it with light. Let it go out and fill the cities, this nation, all nations, all peoples, all beings. May they all know happiness. May they all know knowledge. May they all know who they are. And let a ray of light flow from your heart and from your mind. Let it flow out to all you hold dear to you. May the angels take up this light and bring it to the places where it's needed. May the saints be present and be comfortable in this room. This world be blessed, and all the worlds. Hilda, Lazuma, Shanti. Let's draw all that light now into our hearts in gratitude. Through grace and with generosity, let it flow out. And let us allow this light of love to flow into Hilda. And may she take that light and do with it what she may. So breathe in love, in light, Just breathe it out from your heart and feel as though Hilda is standing before you again. And let that love flow to her. Let that light flow to her. Let the gratitude flow to her for her grace and generosity. May our gratitude become grace. May our generosity become grace. And may grace flow forever. Just see her before you. Look into her eyes. Honor her presence, her love, concern. Bow down. Namaste. I honor light within you. See her smile as she begins to tell you, come back down in and bring the awareness into your heart. Just see her light, brilliant.
In the night, she stands with you there in light. That's the soul that it takes my heart away. First on neighbor, hands outstretched with love. The sacred
bring all the awareness in so we could send out peace to this world. The world now is awaiting the grace of the light. So let us, in our gratitude and in the generosity of grace, send out love, light to this planet. And as we own, you can call out the names of any countries you would like to pray for. And just see this world healed. Let's just visualize and believe it to be a place of harmony, of joy, of freedom, a place of safety, a place of grace.
Thank you, Linda, for a wonderful evening. Linda, Cali,